NFL head coaches have pressure-filled, highly demanding jobs. They put in ridiculous amounts of hours every week trying to get their players ready for a 60-minute game. And when things don't go according to plan, it's easy to understand why they'd have to let out some anger here and there. So, here are the 10 greatest NFL head coaching rants of all time. Number 10, Jim Fassel. This team is going to the playoffs. Jim Fassel coached the New York Giants from 1997 to 2003, recording a .522 winning percentage. He led them to the playoffs 3 times, highlighted by a trip to Super Bowl 35 where they lost to the Baltimore Ravens. Speaking of that journey to Super Bowl 35, it all kind of started when Fassel performed one of the most memorable coaching rants of all time. This one, however, was not a rant against his own players. Fassel spoke up in defense of his players following consecutive losses that dropped the team to 7-4 on the season. Fassel told the media to put the blame on him and not the players. Finally, he boldly guaranteed that his team would go to the playoffs.
Get out. Okay? This team is going to the playoffs. Okay? This team's going to
The Giants wouldn't lose another regular season game, finishing 12-4 en route to the Super Bowl, where they lost to Baltimore 34-7. Number 9. Jim Haslett's expletive rant against the refs. Jim Haslett's 6-year tenure as head coach of the New Orleans Saints was full of ups and downs. He guided them to a pair of winning seasons, including a trip to the postseason in 2000. That year, the Saints defeated the St. Louis Rams in the wildcard round for their first ever playoff win. So, yeah, Haslett has a special place in Saints history. But in 2005, his last as the Saints head coach was a massive disappointment. Struggling through the effects of Hurricane Katrina, the club finished with a woeful 3-13 record. Perhaps the Saints' lowest point of the season was a 34-31 home loss to the arch-rival Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons missed a game-winning field goal opportunity at the end of regulation, seemingly forcing overtime. But Tony Bryant of the Saints took a penalty that gave Atlanta another shot at the field goal, and this time, the visitors converted on the kick. After the game, Haslett used a couple of expletive terms to describe his thoughts on the officiating performance.
The call by the officials, it's flat out chicken shit. And they didn't call it last week, so I'm telling you, it's a flat out chicken shit call.
Number 8. Mike Ditka, what do you care? Mike Ditka's tenure as head coach of the Chicago Bears went very smoothly. The 2-time head coach of the year led them to a Super Bowl 20 championship. He's also enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a tight end. But Ditka's tenure as the head coach of the Saints was a different story. They went just 15-33 under his 3-year leadership, which spanned from 1997 to 99. Ditka was understandably frustrated in what turned out to be his final season as a head coach. When a reporter asked Ditka why he was in a bad mood during a media scrum, Ditka gave a rather blunt response.
Such a bad mood.
What do you care?
Right.
Okay. If you were 2-7, you'd be in a bad mood too.
Yeah, point taken. Number 7. Bill Callahan, dumbest team in America. Bill Callahan's first year as the head coach of the Oakland Raiders went very well. The second, not so much. The Raiders, of course, traded head coach John Gruden to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2002 offseason. Callahan, the team's offensive coordinator, was promoted to head coach. And for the most part, he did a phenomenal job replacing Gruden. Quarterback Rich Gannon won the league MVP under Callahan's guidance. And the Raiders went all the way to Super Bowl 37, facing none other than Gruden and the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay ran away with an easy 48-21 victory. And it probably helped that Gruden knew the ins and outs of Oakland's playbook, don't you think? If getting blown out in a Super Bowl wasn't disappointing enough, well, the Raiders endured quite the Super Bowl hangover in 2003. One of the low points of the season came in Week 13, when the Raiders dropped a 22-8 contest to the Denver Broncos at home. The loss moved Oakland to 3-9 on the season, and after the game, Callahan didn't mince his words.
Dumbest team in America in terms of playing the game. And I'm highly critical because of the way we give games away.
The Raiders finished with a 4-12 record, and Callahan was fired after the season. You probably saw that coming after he harshly referred to his squad as the dumbest team in America. Number 6. Jim Mora, diddly-poo. Even though Jim Mora turned two long-time losing franchises, the New Orleans Saints and Indianapolis Colts, into playoff teams, that will not be his legacy. Instead, the football universe will best remember him as the coach who never held back from harshly criticizing his own players. Mora's second-best coaching rant occurred when the Saints lost 19-7 to the Carolina Panthers in Week 8 of the 1996 season. It was a disheartening defeat for Mora's team, who couldn't get any offense going as they fell to 2-6 on the season. In the post-game media scrum, Mora kept it short and sweet.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't.
This might not surprise you, but Mora resigned the following day, with Rick Venturi serving out the second half of the season as head coach. Number 5. Mike Singletary, I want winners. Hall of Fame linebacker Mike Singletary was part of Mike Ditka's legendary 1985 Chicago Bears team that won Super Bowl 20. A 10-time Pro Bowler and 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Singletary was an absolute force to be reckoned with on the field. But like so many other legendary athletes, Singletary didn't exactly cut it as a head coach. He only garnered a mere 18-22 record as the 49ers coach from 2008 to 2010. And like several guys on this list, Singletary's coaching career is best remembered for one timeless rant. Singletary replaced the fired Mike Nolan as head coach in the midst of the 2008 season. In his first game on the job, he sent star tight end Vernon Davis into the locker room for taking a careless penalty during a 34-13 road loss against the Seattle Seahawks. After the game, Singletary explained his decision, stating that he only wanted winners during this epic rant.
Cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. I want winners.
Who doesn't want winners anyway? Number 4. Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. The Arizona State head coach had some tremendous success during his tenure with the New York Jets and Kansas City Chiefs. But whether Herm Edwards likes it or not, his career as an NFL head coach will be best remembered for 6 simple words. You play to win the game. Whether he's trying to just be Captain Obvious or serve as a motivational speaker of some sort, Edwards was kind enough to remind the reporters in public why you play sports during this midweek press conference from the 2002 season.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play.
If only Edwards knew at the time that this iconic soundbite would be part of those epic Coors Light beer commercials. Oh, and for those of you who didn't already know, you play to win the game. Number 3. Jerry Burns throws Alfred Anderson under the bus. When do you ever see a coach furious after a win? Oh yeah, almost never. Well, don't tell that to former Minnesota Vikings head coach Jerry Burns. Even though his Vikings defeated the Los Angeles Rams 23-21 in an overtime thriller back in Week 9 of the 1989 season, Burns was very grumpy and in no mood to celebrate. Burns came to the defense of offensive coordinator Bob Schnelker in an expletive-filled rant. Oh, and he called out running back Alfred Anderson for losing his shoe during the game, which forced the team to call a timeout.
When his shoe was coming off, up the line of scrimmage, we were hard and take timeout. We had a trap play called, and his shoe comes off.
Look, Jerry, we understand that coaching a professional football team is very stressful, but can't you just be happy about a win there? No need to be so worked up over your running back losing his shoe. Number 2. Dennis Green, the Bears are who we thought they were. The late Dennis Green was known as the ultimate player's coach. He was absolutely loved and respected by his players, and we should all remember him as the man who guided the Minnesota Vikings to a 15-win season and the NFC Championship game in 1998. And, the man who won a Super Bowl 23 ring as the 49ers wide receivers coach. But everybody knows what Green will forever be best remembered for. Let us take you back to Week 6 of the 2006 season, when Green's Arizona Cardinals hosted the 5-0 Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. The Cardinals held a 20-0 lead at halftime, seemingly ready to end the Bears' bid at a perfect regular season. But the wheels began to fall off quickly. With Arizona leading 23-3 in the waning seconds of the third quarter, the Bears strip-sacked Mike Leinart for a scoop and score, and now it was a 13-point game. Then, with 5 minutes left, the Bears forced an Edgar and James fumble. Charles Tillman picked it up and returned it for a touchdown. Now, it was a 6-point game. Arizona had to punt it with just over 3 minutes left. In one of the most memorable Monday Night Football moments ever, rookie Devin Hester fielded the punt and took it 83 yards for the go-ahead score. And just like that, the Bears had the lead despite scoring 0 offensive touchdowns. And if that wasn't infuriating enough for Green and the Cardinals, their usually clutch kicker Neil Rackers missed a 40-yarder to seal the win for the Bears. Honestly, you had to feel for Green and the Cardinals, who barely missed a chance to hand the Bears their first loss of the season. On the bright side, it led to one of the most iconic coaching rants in the history of professional sports.
The Bears are who we thought they were. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Number 1. Jim Mora. Playoffs? It just had to be number 1. Seriously, how many coaches in the world would publicly throw their own players under the bus like this? You always hear the good old cliches like, we competed hard, we'll be better, we weren't good enough, blah, blah, blah. But Jim Mora was not afraid to let loose whenever his team let him down. Back in Week 11 of the 2001 season, Mora's Colts hosted the San Francisco 49ers, looking to get back at that .500 mark. But Peyton Manning endured one of his worst games as a professional, tossing 4 interceptions in an ugly 40-21 loss. The Colts turned the ball over 5 times and fell to 4-6, which put the dagger in their playoff hopes. After the game, Mora defended the defense and went on a huge rant against the offense. And then, lo and behold, came the most memorable NFL coaching soundbite of all time.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Spoiler alert, the Colts did not make the playoffs that year. They finished 6-10 and Mora was fired after the season. Unfortunately, he was never hired as a head coach again, so that meant no more epic rants on his end. As for the Colts, they never missed the playoffs again with Manning under center. So I guess Mora's message got across to them. Playoffs? Playoffs? But hey, which other NFL head coaching rants should we have included on our list? Join us in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.